but he didn't really have the right mentality.
Right. Yeah.
And whatnot. So, we're getting pushed into the walls. We're getting pretty much, I'm not going to say beaten up, but you may as well call it that. But I've had to miss, as I say, parties. I've had to miss family events, if we should say. Year for me as well, the age group was under 15. So, if I don't go, that's maybe another player coming in or someone coming to take my place. So I try and... I had a childhood, but I didn't have a childhood the same as what the average kid who maybe doesn't play professional sports has. Because I couldn't settle. I didn't have that. I'm a homeboy, so
right. Okay.
They try to do education in terms of understanding what's going on in the grassroots, because it's something that I'm quite worried about it, to be honest with you.
Okay.
And I do genuinely believe that.
So we're delighted to have Reece Brown, ex-Manchester United and England defender, with us on our very first episode of Elite Children, A Family Portrait. So Reece, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for agreeing to do this with us. Before we start, so the listeners can get to know you a little bit better, my children have come up with 10 quick-fire would you rather questions. So, because Sebastian is a Manchester United fan and he's a central defender like you was, Reece, Sebastian is going to ask the 10 would you rather questions. Are you ready, Sebastian?
Yeah.
Okay.
Would you rather game or read a book?
Ooh, game.
Would you rather score a hat-trick and lose, or you not score any goals but win?
Score no goals but win.
Would you rather have takeaway or eat out?
Eat out.
Would you rather listen to Stormzy or Drake?
Ooh, Drake.
Would you rather wear Nike or Adidas?
Adidas.
Would you rather own a Bugatti or a Lamborghini?
Ooh, Bugatti.
Would you rather do cardio or lift weights?
Cardio.
Would you rather play Spider-Man or Incredible Hulk in Marvel?
Spider-Man.
Would you rather have Prime Messi or Prime Ronaldo in your team?
Ronaldo.
Would you rather win the Premier League or Champions League?
Champions League.
Super. Thank you very much for that, Sebastian. Okay, are you going to leave us now? And I'll have a quick chat with Reece now. And
good
thank you for that, Sebastian.
Okay.
Okay.
Very good question. Very good. Very good.
Thank you.
Nice top as well. Nice top.
So, as you know, the podcast is to shine the light on the secrets and sacrifices that all families go through to allow their children to become elite level athletes. Something that's very close to our hearts at the moment, with having 4 children currently on their journey. We have our eldest daughter, she's playing tennis at the moment. We have two boys, as you know, that are playing football, and we have our youngest that's horse riding. So I'm always curious to hear what the family life and background surrounding the athlete was like, and whether this shaped any of their journeys of where they are today. So could you just take me back to when you was young and growing up in Manchester, when you was at home, and how your family life was for us, please?
Yeah. So I grew up in Manchester, in Longsight. So again, it's not I wouldn't say it was the greatest of places to grow up. I loved every minute of it, of course.
Yeah.
But no, I think I was more taken to the streets from a young age.
Right,
when
okay.
I say taken to the streets, I'd say that's a lot of street football. So
Yep.
we'd be out every single day playing football from a young age. One of my best mates is Danny Welbeck, who currently plays at Brighton. So we used to live facing each other. So literally every single day, after school, we'll be out till it gets dark, and I have to go back in. But other than that, I grew up and started playing for my grassroots team, which was Fletchermouth Rangers.
Okay.
From there, I was scouted by a few teams in terms of going into developments. So I was at United, City, and Bolton.
Right. Okay.
Enjoyed it. I can't remember, of course, loads and loads and loads about
Yeah.
the whole developments, but of course it was always big for me to follow in my brother's footsteps. So
Yeah.
obviously he was at United, so I was doing the developments probably from around 5 to 7 years back. The academy age groups used to start at under 8s,
Okay.
to where now it's under 9s. So yeah, as I say, it got to a time where I had to make a decision. I had a few clubs, of course, that wanted to take me in, but of course I chose Man United, and I was there, went through all the ranks in the academy age groups, all the way from under 8s up to under 16s. Then I got my YTS, which is obviously a youth team scholarship, which was 2 years. Represented England as well. I've been to a World Cup, a Euros. Never played for the first team, unfortunately, but I managed to travel. I've travelled on all competitions with them. Never made the pitch, but only made the bench. So yeah, after my time at United, I left there. I went to Watford. By the way, throughout United, I've had a few loans, which I'm pretty sure we'll get into.
Yeah. I was going to ask you a little bit about them later
on. Yeah. I'm sure we'll get into all of that. But yeah, I left United. I went to Watford. After Watford, I went to Barnsley. After Barnsley, I didn't really have a club, but I can get into that after for you in terms of the reasons why and stuff. But after, I didn't have a club for around 6-7 months, so I went back to United, just training with the reserves. I went to Bury.
Okay.
Then I went to Rochdale, and then that was me done. And then went into the coaching, of course, and I was at United for 4 years.
Okay.
I left there, went to Morecambe, and doing obviously Oldham development.
Yeah. So did your parents have a passion for sport, or was their background professional sport? Did you do you think this kind of shaped how, like, kind of you particularly was brought up with having an older brother who was in football? Was anything kind of changed that you saw with regards to kind of attending after school clubs, or any kind of nutrition or kind of discipline with having an older brother who was signed at, you say, United at an early age as well? Was your mum and dad trying to kind of follow a similar kind of path for you as your brother, or did it kind of start off from your mum and dad?
Yeah, no, I think it was a bit different because Wes didn't actually go to United till under 14s.
Right. Okay.
So he was always playing the grassroots, and of course he went to Lilleshall as well, where he was excellent for England.
Yeah.
But it was actually my other brother Clive. He was the better player out of out of all of us. He was at City.
Right.
But he didn't really have the right mentality.
Right. Okay. So did you all get this from your parents? Were your mum and dad sporty?
My dad was. My dad played cricket.
Right. Okay.
My dad was from Jamaica.
Right.
He died when I was 16. So he no problem. He played cricket. So that's probably where we got the sports background or side of it.
Yeah. So is it so then who was the kind of driving factor in you pursuing that career in your football? Was that something that you all kind of had internally? Do you have that kind of intrinsic motivation to want to be that professional footballer? Is that something that you just kind of had within you, or was it something that was kind of shaped from, like, kind of outside with like kind of your parents?
I think it was something that me personally, I already kind of had in me. As I say, from a young age, we were playing a lot of street football. We're playing with a lot of older boys and whatnot. So we're getting pushed into the walls. We're getting pretty much. I'm not going to say beaten up, but you may as well call it that. But I think it's all been good in terms of part of my growing up and my development. To understand, to be that mental toughness, I'll probably say. But I'll probably say it was definitely something that has been, of course, within the family, because my brothers both played. As I said, they never really went through to an academy until later stages. Wes didn't anyway.
Right. Okay.
So I don't think it was anything in terms of following in the footsteps in that sense, because there's a big difference in terms of the age gap between us as well. So between me and my first brother, Clive, it's 11 years, and then between me and Wes, it's 12 years. So
right, okay, brilliant. Okay, so with regards to that, you kind of touched on that in one of your other kind of answers, but would you say the rewards for success outweigh the sacrifices that you kind of make on the professional journey? So can you remember any, say, like family fallouts or any kind of disagreements or, say, missed functions or missed birthday parties, weddings, because you was always kind of playing kind of sports and you always kind of had matches? So I know for us, we have 4 children. We always find it really difficult juggling kind of time, taking them to the activities, and then we always feel as if we're not kind of spending enough time with one of them, and we kind of feel like we're neglecting, say, one of them. So I know for me, I used to train my eldest daughter. So I always used to take her to tennis and do like all the S&C stuff. And I remember on many occasions where I'd be getting her up at, say, 5:30 in the morning before school. We'd drive to the tennis courts. She'd do her S&C stuff, but then after, say, 10 or 15 minutes, I'd see that she wasn't really kind of putting in 100%, or what I thought was 100%. And then after 10 or 15 minutes, I'd decide that was enough. I wanted to come home. I had like my work and like kind of job to go to. And that had almost kind of spoiled our father-daughter relationship. We might go for the rest of the day not speaking, then it might spill over to the second day type of thing. Is there any kind of like references like that like kind of you had, or any kind of sacrifices like that? Or would you say the rewards do outweigh the sacrifices on that journey?
Yeah, I'd definitely say, like, growing up anyway, for me, it was, I think it was massive with the sacrifice in terms of, I've had to miss holidays.
Right.
I've had to miss, as I say, parties. I've had to miss family events, if we should say. But I think that's all part and parcel. Like, when I look back now, of course, I'm happy that I did miss that stuff. So I think one of the best ones I can probably give to you was my family went to Jamaica for 3 weeks.
Okay.
And I had to stay behind to go to a tournament at Keele University for a weekend.
Wow. Okay.
So again, that was only a two-day event.
Yeah.
But at the time, it was kind of it's a crucial year for me as well. The age group was under 15, so if I don't go, that's maybe another player coming in or someone coming to take my place, or a trialist coming in. And of course, you don't really want to, take them risks.
Yeah.
I don't see the point in risking going away. Don't get me wrong. I think everyone does need a holiday, 100%.
Yeah.
I think, but there is priorities as well. And growing up, unfortunately, myself, I had a childhood, but I didn't have a childhood the same as what the average kid who maybe doesn't play professional sports has, if that makes sense. So parties on the weekends or sleepovers.
Yeah.
It was quite tough to do because, of course, over the weekends we changed now to where I know at Man United anyway they play games on Saturday and Sunday.
Okay.
So where when I was growing up, it was training on Saturday and games on a Sunday.
Okay.
So every weekend was pretty much was taken up with football.
So a kind of friends and kind of family, are they understanding to that situation at that for that particular moment in time for you? Or do you kind of feel sometimes that they almost feel as if you're kind of making an excuse? And I'm saying that from kind of personal experience, from when we've been saying to kind of family or friends that we can't attend something because our eldest has got a tennis tournament somewhere, or the boys have got, say, a football match somewhere, so we can't attend at a particular time. Sometimes we kind of get the feeling that they think that we're just making a little bit of an excuse. So did you kind of feel that? And was that kind of the sacrifice that you made, that you wanted to be on this journey as a professional footballer, and you was very single-minded to kind of do that, and that's what you need to do to kind of get to the level that you got to?
Yeah, I wouldn't say as much with family. I think family with me was, I think it was the understanding was better from the family, I would say.
Right, okay.
Because of course, you have to remember I was coming up after my brother as well. So once my brother kind of got into that first team, it was like kind of like, focus.
Yeah.
With friends now, that was completely different because again,
right, okay.
I always say to people who aren't involved in the professional industry, or especially the football, I'm only going to speak on the football industry, of course, but with the football, if you don't know about what goes on within the insides, I think it's I don't feel like you should judge the way some people do. So, for example, if I've got training or a game on a weekend, it'd be like, oh, but you can still come out for a few hours, and it's like, I could come out for a few hours, but during them few hours, that's really when I need to have my food. I need to be kind of calming down, getting ready for bed, not going out to a party, for example, until 10 o'clock, getting home, and 12 o'clock, and going to sleep. And I think you have to get into that kind of routine as well. And I just call it I'd probably say having that professional mentality and professional attitude.
Yeah. Okay. So touching on that kind of mental attitude, then. So you've already mentioned that you represented England at under 19s and under 20s. I think I remember reading that you scored your first goal in 2009-2010 season, which again, amazing achievement to do. And then you've mentioned that you was at United from about 8 or 9 years old. And then you was loaned out to a few different clubs. I think there was about 6 different clubs in a 4-year period. And I think, again, you've been kind of linked to about 13 or so other different clubs. So for me, kind of hearing that journey, it does seem a roller coaster kind of journey and a roller coaster of emotions, of kind of the ups, which are really kind of high and an amazing kind of experience to kind of to be associated and linked to another club. However, obviously there's a downside of it as well. How do you personally kind of cope with those kind of downsides? Are you kind of educated by the clubs around that with regards to the kind of the release or the rejection of that? Or again, is that coming from kind of experiences that you might have kind of witnessed with, say, like your older brothers? Or is it kind of having that support network of family and friends, that close-knit kind of family that do kind of believe, and you believe in yourself that you can kind of go again? And how do you kind of cope with that?
Yeah, I think it's quite difficult. So for myself, like when I got into United youth team, I had to leave home and go and live in digs, for example. And we were supposed to do 2 years. I only ended up doing a year. That was probably down to me moaning and complaining that I only lived 10, 15 minutes away. When I look back now, I wish I would have done the 2 years. Even the year I done, I didn't really do it properly. I was more at home and just getting back to digs when I had to get back to digs. So as a first year, you had to be back for 10 o'clock, and as a second year, you could be back for 10:30, 11:15.
Right. Okay.
So I used to literally go straight home after training, and I don't go back to digs until later on at night. So it was more like I wasn't settled anywhere, if that makes sense. And I think that plays a big part in terms of not just my career, but I think it adds to it, because I always struggled being away from home.
Right. Okay.
So I hated honestly, I could be playing, for example, at Coventry. When I played at Coventry, I was pretty much living at my house and driving every single day. And that's just because I couldn't settle. I didn't have that. I'm a homeboy. So
right. Okay.
I feel if I would have put myself through the 2 years properly at the digs, I think that would have, of course, helped me in terms of growing.
Right.
And that understanding of that independence and being on your own as well, which again, of course, over the years, I think it's something that I've struggled with massively.
Right. Okay. So, I mean, again, I was reading an article the other day, and you'll probably be aware of this as well. So, I was reading that I think it's 1% of boys under 9 at academies will make it into a professional footballer. So the journey is quite kind of tough and quite kind of ruthless, isn't it?
Yeah.
What would you say that's the main kind of trait that an individual would need to kind of succeed, like you did and like your brothers did as well? What would you say the main thing is to make it as a footballer?
Well, I'll say I use a term of you got to maintain a high level of performance.
Yeah.
And I have three sayings for it, and I say it to all the boys that I've coached, and I do coach up to this day. And of course, these are a little bit older, but I do say, to maintain a high level of performance, you've got to be as fit as possible.
Yeah.
In terms of course, can you get through 95 minutes for me?
Yeah.
To be as strong as possible in terms of your body, the S&C stuff, and making sure that your body's up to speed.
Yeah.
And the main one for me, it's the mental toughness.
Okay.
Mentality. If you think about football, football is just a game of emotions. It's the mental side, fitness, and of course the S&C kind of stuff. It all falls into the mental side. You know, if you want to run, that's down to you. If you want to run, if you want to do the gym, that's down to you. If you're strong enough to up there to want to get through it. So I definitely say that stuff. One of the other things I'll say is it's the basics. It's something that I've noticed massively. So especially from playing the game, of course, and coming through a Cat 1 environment at Man United and being surrounded by unbelievable young footballers. Also going back to Man United and seeing how good these young footballers are now. I'm not going to lie, I think some of them are better than what we were like when we were younger. Once I left United, I went to Morecambe. That was a Cat 3 environment. So again, it's a complete different ball game in terms of the ability of player. And then, of course, coming to Oldham's developments. For me, I think it's getting the basics on board.
Okay.
The basics for me is it's passing the ball 5 yards, passing the ball 10 yards, manipulating the ball with right and left feet. Receiving the ball, body shape, movement to receive, all that type of stuff. There, I say a big one is, if I try and say to the kids that if you to cross a road, would you just walk into a road? They'll say, no, I'd look left and right. So I'd say, well, how come when you receive a ball, do you feel like you don't have to check your shoulder and look behind? They're all just the basic things. And what I've noticed, especially because it's been around 4 or 5 years now that I've been in and around the no, not 4 or 5 years, sorry. It's been 2 years that I've been in and around the grassroots, but it's also been 4 or 5 years that I've actually tried to do education in terms of understanding what's going on in the grassroots, because it's something that I'm quite worried about it, to be honest with you. Okay. And I do genuinely believe that, there's a lot of young players now, boys and girls, that of course want to play the game of football, but again, I feel like they're restricted.
Yeah. Do you think there's a problem with, say, like how kind of society's changed from when you was, say, younger? So like now, for instance, for me, for all my boys, they love playing the football. They love being in the garden. They love practicing kicking the ball against the wall and practicing the keepy uppies. They still love to like kind of game. They still love like having like kind of screen time on an iPad or on a kind of a Switch. Do you think now there's too many other kind of distractions that the boys are kind of exposed to that may kind of impact on the amount of football that they kind of do? Because again, I was reading it was Dennis Bergkamp's book, and when he was younger, he used to like come down out of his flat and all he used to do was he just used to kick his football against like the brick wall, and he said like he'd like look at specific bricks and he'd try and aim for that brick. And then he'd try and kick that brick with his football, just with the side of his foot. It might be his laces, it might be the outside of his foot. Whereas like kind of nowadays, boys and girls may be more inclined to, they've probably got more opportunities, possibly, you could say. Would you think that's one of the kind of issues as well?
Yeah, I definitely think there's a lot of things blocking the young generation now for me. That's not just people in the football world, of course. I think this is in all walks of life. But social media is pretty much kind of taken over. Think about it now, you don't even have to go shopping anymore, do you? You can just start on your bed. So I think it's kind of a downfall. But at the same time, I think that's where, for me, I think it's the education as well that comes from us as coaches, us people as parents and stuff. And I think it's if you see that you really want it, I think a lot of kids as well. I've come across a lot of kids who genuinely like with me when I was younger. I still play computer. Yeah. But again, for me, my mindset was more on going out and playing football rather than the computer, if that makes sense. To where I just think there's a little bit too much going on at the minute, which is, of course, it attracts the attention of the younger ones, whether it's like TikTok, Instagram, your Facebook. There's all sorts now that you can get on it. So I think, and I say it's easy access to anything now. Easy access to where when I was younger, I'm not going to lie, I didn't have internet until I was in year 10. Honestly, I didn't have my house, so I didn't have a laptop, a computer. All I had was a PlayStation. Yeah. So that's PlayStation and Football Manager. That was all I used to play. Literally.
That was brilliant. So just one final thing then. So at the end of every show, we're going to have a tradition, and we're going to ask all our guests whether they have any famous quotes or philosophies that they stand by on a daily basis. So one that I've used a lot with work and with my children is to focus on the process, not the outcome. So what my story was, and this came apparent when my eldest was going to her first tennis tournament. So we just registered at the front desk, and then we went through to where they were going to be playing the tennis. And there was this big table, and it had loads of trophies, loads of medals on it. And she was straight over looking at like how nice and shiny and like how cool all these like kind of trophies were. Mm-hmm. And she just turned around to me and said like, I want to win one of those trophies. Mm-hmm. Didn't say anything else, went on the tennis court, and you can probably kind of guess the tournament didn't kind of progress how we'd kind of expected it to. And then I mentioned to her after it, I said like, what kind of happened there? And she was saying like, oh, well, I just wanted to win that trophy. I wanted to win because I wanted to kind of win this like nice big trophy. And I said to her, the problem with that is you're focusing on the outcome. You're kind of focusing on making it as a professional footballer or winning the tournament. Whereas they said like, really, we should be focusing on the individual kind of elements that kind of make you kind of be in a position where you've got a chance to kind of win the tournament. Focus on the simple things rather than focusing on the outcome. So mine is focus on the process, not the outcome. So I didn't know whether you had a famous or you had a quote or philosophy that you kind of stand by on a daily level.
You know, I actually don't. Honestly, I actually don't. I think the thing with me is it's what I like to do more instead of don't get me wrong, I really like quotes. I look into a lot of quotes, and especially like professional athletes. So don't even have to be athletes. It's just it could be a quote of anything. But I wouldn't necessarily say that I have any like personal ones which I tend to use. If anything, I probably rob some people's, to be honest.
Well, that one's robbed as well. That one's robbed from Sir David Brailsford.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Trying to say like I wouldn't say I have anything specific. In that text, no.
Right. Okay. That's okay. So, Reece, thank you so much for being our very first guest on Elite Children, a Family Portrait. I'm sure the listeners can definitely see they're not alone on their athletic journey and the secrets and sacrifices that go along with that. We just want to wish you all the luck in all the ventures that you've got going on at the moment, especially one that we're aware of, which is the Right Way, a brand new football development club with an academy mindset that you're currently involved with. Can you just tell us a little bit about that project that you're currently on and the reasons behind that just before we finish?
Yeah. So as I said before, since I've stopped playing the game of football, as a player, of course, I've gone into the coaching. I was lucky enough to go back to Man United, and I was coaching there for 2-3 years. And again, seeing the standard of player that's in that building is unbelievable. Of course, once I've left there and I've gone to Morecambe, I never expected, of course, Morecambe to be like a Man United or a Man City or anything like that. But the standard for me dropped massively.
Okay.
Then of course, if you look at the standard now for me of the Cat3 environments to our if you want to call it grassroots or development, I just don't think it's good enough. I think that there's a lot of boys and girls that are very far behind where they need to be to make the grade. As I say, I've got nothing against. I come through grassroots myself at Fletchermoss Rangers, so I don't have any problem or nothing against any grassroots teams. I just believe that that we're failing the children of this moment, and I can put myself in there as well because, of course, I'm part of the developments, of course, at the minute. So, one thing that I always wanted to do was to try and get my own thing set up, to which I've got it done now with two other guys, Melford Knight and James Pretty. So we've come up with really good ideas. I think we all offer something completely different. I've played the game professionally. Melford's played the game at non-league level, and he's played a lot of games at non-league. He's played more games than me. So 100%. And then you've got James, who has never played the game. But James is a very, very good coach. I really like his coaching style, and he's very switched on. So I think we all offer something completely different, and we all kind of had that same mindset in terms of for me, I've come through the academy system.
Yep.
So, for me, it's all about, again, if these boys and girls want to play the game professionally, and I know, right, as of this minute, that the girls haven't really got a proper academy set up, but I know they've got the developments, like, for example, at United and City and stuff. But for us, it's to get them boys and girls into them environments to give them a chance. But to be able to get into them environments, you've got to be executing on the football pitch. And this is what I'm not seeing enough of when I'm watching, grassroots, in terms of, I've been and watched grassroots training sessions, and it's more you turn up and you've got 2 goals and you just play a game and everyone goes home, and it's like, but what they're learning. Also, what you have to remember is, if we're going to go off a Cat 1 club, I'll go for United, of course, because, that's somewhere I know very well. And, it happened to me when I was playing. We used to come out, we used to train Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday games and Sundays, to where now it's a different day for different age groups, but they have games Saturday and Sunday. But they're also coming out of school throughout the week.
Yeah.
So they're putting a lot of hours into the craft. And, if you think about, the average grassroots or the developments, we're pretty much not even doing 6-7 hours a week sometimes.
Yeah.
So for me, we're already far behind, and as I said, like, I want to try and make a difference and a change, and again give these boys and girls the best possible chance. And of course, that's why we've got to come up with a name the right way, because we do want to push them. And again, it's like I said, I've got nothing against grassroots at all. But as I said, like, if you look in every grassroots team, you do have probably 2-3 players that actually have got the ability to maybe push on if pushed in the right manner. And for me, there's too many grassroots mentalities in them environments. Instead of having, that mentality of I want to push on. And again, I've got nothing against it. I hold my hands up. Nothing against grassroots whatsoever. So I'm not like calling anybody out or anything. But I do think, as I say, for them players who actually have got the ability and want to push on, how are they supposed to focus and push on when they're surrounded by, more percentage of, we're just here to have fun and we're just here to have a laugh and a joke. So that's something that, we want to try and bridge. We want to try and bridge it where we're getting players in. Obviously, we're only starting with a boys setup to start off with. Something that we're looking in for the second year in terms of having a girls project 100%, because the girls game is massive now, and in the next 5-10 years it's going to blow up. So it'll be huge. But as I said, right now our focus is kind of on that, and getting, as I say, the players with the mentality that want to actually push and train them, get them to a certain level, educate them on what goes on in these environments. Because again, it's something that players and parents don't know. I've come across it with players and parents where it's like, my kid's not getting an opportunity. Why? And it's like, maybe it's this, and this. But it's like they can't process it, and it's like, I'm not lying to you. This is, of course, it's my opinion, and of course, what I say to them. But if you're not executing week in, week out consistently at the grassroots level, for me, I feel like you're always going to struggle at getting an opportunity within, especially a higher category, like a category 1 academy, like a United or a City. I'll be honest with you, I don't think there's much different as well in terms of the, especially some players that I've come across in the developments to a Cat 3 academy. I don't think that needs massive difference. And of course, as I said, like, for me, we're based in Manchester, so us personally, we do not have any excuse why we can't execute in the right manner, because we have access to, of course, a lot of streetwise kids. We've got access to good coaches, coaches that are looking for opportunity. So as I say, when I look around and I'm looking at different clubs, again, it's not me calling anybody out. I just personally, for someone who's played the game and had the experience and been lucky enough to come through a project like Man United, I'd love to give other kids the same possible chance.
Brilliant. So I'm sure from listening to your stories, I'm sure the listeners at home can kind of hear your passion, your desire, your motivation, and the resilience that you've kind of shown throughout the course of your career. I'm sure any project that you're involved with will be a massive success. So, Reece Brown, thank you very much today for being on our Elite Children, a Family Portrait. Thank you very much.
No, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.